Hello, welcome. It's the season to celebrate authors, books and ideas as literature festivals or literary festivals play out across the country. Mumbai, Indore, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Dehradun, almost every city hosts its own festival today. This month alone, Kozhikode, Jaipur and Kolkata are all talking books. How indicative is the turnout and buzz of how much we are reading, or if we are a country of readers? How different is one festival from another? Does it need to be? And even as they make authors feel like rock stars coming face to face with adulating fans, do they push sales? Let's check the pulse of publishing right now with Sanjoy Roy. He's the managing director of Teamwork Arts and the co-founder of the Jaipur Litfest, or JLF. Ananth Padmanabhan, CEO of HarperCollins, and Amish Tripathi, writer of many, many bestsellers. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining me on this conversation. Good to see all of you already in this season. This is the season, isn't it?
Yes.
Amish?
It is.
It certainly is. It's a delight to be back in India and in Jaipur. I haven't been to the Jaipur Litfest physically, actually, in many years. I think the last time I participated was online. So nearly 3-4 years, perhaps. So it'll be absolutely wonderful to be back at the Kumbh Mela of Literature.
At the Kumbh Mela of Literature, Sanjoy, this is the 16th edition, isn't it? You guys are the OG or the original literary festival. It all started with JLF. What do you have on offer this year? What is it that's going to make it stand out and, you know, live up to the reputation of the Kumbh Mela of the publishing and literary world?
You know, I think the most important thing is that with travel restrictions now easing, we really have a whole slew of incredible speakers coming in from across the world that we didn't enjoy. Of course, we had the online edition and it increased our net worth in terms of just the amount of people we could reach out to. But just being there in person, up close and speaking and listening to some of these amazing writers, whether it's a Nobel laureate or a Booker Prize winner, or the amazing Amish Tripathi, whose new books have come out, and doing that in person, I think that's the most exciting thing. And Jaipur is sun as opposed to Delhi's very cold wave situation. And it's a different part of the world. It offers you everything. It offers you great parties, great conversations, great food, retail therapy, and the forts and palaces against which the festival is set.
Ananth, what do the festivals offer and what do you make of this sort of culture of literary festivals that India seems to have adopted? I mean, 50 million readers is what you told me about a couple of years ago. Do these festivals reflect that?
No, absolutely does. I think one of the things about publishing and listening to an author, there's nothing like that human connect. There's nothing like listening to an author speak about his or her book. Word of mouth increases as a consequence of that. And of course, authors we have many authors in many of these festivals. At this moment, there are at least about 100 authors in these various festivals. So from a readership point of view, what you're saying is absolutely true. COVID and being at home meant that people got into the habit of ordering books online and got into the convenience of getting it delivered. So I think online bookstores increased that number by at least 20%. So I think now between 60 and 65 million people buy books. India has seen consistent growth in book sales, especially in a country that speaks English as a second language. And we have reluctant readers. I know, for example, I can say that Amish is here, that he's brought in a whole slew of readers and book buyers, yes, which is the cornerstone, as it were, in the publishing history in India. And if this doesn't happen, then we would not have seen the Indian publishing business be as vibrant or grow or be an important map, in the world. We're the third largest English book market in the world by sheer volume. And it's all thanks to the festivals.
Amish, what does it do for the author's vanity? Because traditionally writing, authors, being an author it's a solitary pursuit, isn't it? It's seen till the book is done. It's a solitary pursuit. What does a book festival really do for you, personally as an author?
Look, ego is a waste of time. If there's one thing we can learn from Ravan, is that ego is a waste of time. It's not in your interest, not in anyone else's interest. But what literature festivals do, and the process of marketing itself, look, the way I see it, yes, writing is solitary profession. Writers should ideally be read and not seen. But there is a dharma that a writer has when it comes to the promotion of his books. This thing that some writers have, that look, I'm going to be pure and I'm not going to do any events and I'm not going to help my publisher recover his investment. I think that's in some ways unprofessional, in some ways almost adharma. I mean, why should the publisher lose money for you to keep your life exactly the way you want it to? Even if there is a source of discomfort, I think it's your duty to do it. The way, I mean, you'll notice that outside of my book launch times, I'm kind of invisible. I don't really, I don't really do as many interviews, or you don't see me around at parties. But at book launch times, it's my duty. I think it's a professional duty to make sure you're available, you help promote the book, and literature festivals are among the best places to do so. It's your job.
Sanjoy, is that how writers see it? How have you managed over the years to draw people from, writers, acclaimed writers? You just said, you have a Nobel laureate this year, you have Booker Prize winners this year, you have Sahitya Academy winners. So how do you, what makes writers, get excited about, about festivals? Is it just the fans and coming face to face with them?
It's many things. And going back to what Amish said, I remember the first year when I went out to invite V.S. Naipaul, and famously, he refused to come, I think, 6 times before he finally arrived at the 7th time. He said to me, Sanjoy, my job is a writer. My job is not to be a monkey in a circus. But I think the world has changed completely. Today, at the end of the day, as Amish said, in many ways, yes, you may write the most seminal work, but until and unless you can get out there and compete, and you are competing with social media, with Netflix, with Amazon, with everything that's assaulting your very being, you don't really get the word out. And it's not enough anymore to say that, oh, when I die, my work will be recognized and realized. And I think writers across the ilk understand that. Now, if you look at, say, much of European, or rather British and American publishing, you'll see that many of the festivals there are publisher driven. As Amish said, when you write a new book, you go on a tour, and that's your, like a new film, that's your responsibility and your job. However, I think in India, certainly in Jaipur, when we started the festivals, our whole thing was that, can we get behind the book? Can we get to the idea of the book? Can we do so in a sexy way, with music and great hospitality and food and parties and great conversations? And that was really the word of mouth. People are just coming out of the Calicut Kozhikode Literary Festival, where everybody's enjoyed being on the beach. So it's again about, so what's new? But I think more so what the festivals have done, and I think Ananth would be able to get a better sense of it, is that it's created a platform for much more local writing. It's created a platform for great translations to finally start coming out, and for us to be able to access a whole new era of writing and writers who otherwise we had no access to. And that's really what's exciting. And for a writer to be able to come to a festival and communicate his, her, or their idea, that's exciting in today's day and age. Everybody wants to push back on ignorance, push back on hatred, and finally push back on violence to some extent.
I want to get to know a little bit about how the economics of the festival, because I know you have sponsors. These are free festivals, so people can walk in, but you also have, people can be delegates so that you have more access to writers, ancillary add-ons to the experience. So what do you, give me a sense of the viability of these festivals.
So it's difficult. I mean, we are in the 16th year, and yes, we are a gigantomous festival with writers who come in from across the world. Each of their tickets cost, many tens of thousands of dollars at the end of the day. We have to book thousands of room nights in Jaipur, etc. The economics of is complicated. Unlike the IPL, which is a much more popular genre, I think festivals still struggle to find adequate resources to be able to support them, especially if you're not in the big range. Festivals are hungry monsters. You have to continue to, get the best, platform them in a particular way. And I think in India, as opposed to many festivals in the United States or UK, Europe, where earlier somebody came to speak, you gave them a sandwich, you gave them a bottle of beer, you sent them on your way. Here, when you're traveling out so far, you really have to do the whole 9 yards. And I think a lot of festivals look at this as, okay, I mean, we can all do it, but it is difficult. It's difficult to find the kinds of resources that you do. And especially because when you look at the book sales, for example, and many American festivals and European festivals run on their publishers or on the book sales, but not necessarily here in India. So the economics is slanted, and what people don't realize is that everybody who walks through the door, all the 500,000 who came before the lockdown in 2020, everybody cost you X amount of money. You feed them, you give them a chair, you give them a glass of water, they use a bit of toilet paper, everything lands up costing.
Well, are festivals profitable?
I don't know whether all 183 festivals in India are profitable. I would imagine not. I think the smaller festivals would primarily just about scrape through. And for us, because it's such a large festival, it is a challenge. If we were to add cost to company, I would suspect that it would be a great challenge to be able to break even because of the size we are, more than anything else.
Right. Ananth, what about the economics of publishing? We've had conversations in the past about it. Give me a sense of how that's working out in terms of all your revenue streams and how, technology has come in to aid the sale of books, isn't it?
Publishing is at its peak. It's now, between 40 and 50% up. More people are buying more books, and it's not just people buying books through through online bookstores. When we last spoke, 7 out of 10 books were being purchased through an online retailer.
Yes.
At this point of time, the number is more like 50-50. Physical bookstores are on the up, whether it's, Bari Sons or Crossword, who's almost doubled its footprint, or Champaka, or anywhere in the country. Bookshops are seeing anything between 15 to 20% increase in sales. At this point of time, publishers, so we would have a print edition available, an ebook and an audiobook. Yeah. And the split, let's say, is 90% print, about 5% ebooks, 5% audiobooks. And audio might seem small, but fact remains that their digital reach to consumers is humongous. Nielsen ran a book scan early last year which said that they forecasted the Indian publishing industry to hit about 100,000 crores. Now, 90% of that will be educational, in the sense of books that are being published for educational purposes. Yeah. It's a number we simply cannot ignore. And when you walk into, Jaipur, I was in the first Jaipur, where 50 people were in the front lawn. Now it's 500,000 people. More than half of that 500,000 people are under the age of 20. And it is so important to hold that youngster, Harry Potter was an inflection point. And since we haven't had an inflection point of that magnitude, to bring in a lot more children to come in. The Harry Potter child would be 25-year-old now and presumably employed and spending disposable income on books. He or she would then spend it on their children. They want high-quality private education. And even one sentence, I mean, Amish says it wherever he goes, buy a book. Shashi Tharoor says it wherever they go. Chetan Bhagat says it. Chitra Divakaruni says it. And if you don't read, you really don't change your life. And I think that's what the festival does. It is showing up on sales. The biggest change that the last decade of festivals has done is bring the idea of a celebration to younger generation.
Amish, Ananth just said in the past decade. Now you've had 10 books, okay? So I think the last book was your 10th book. And you've seen up close, and you have a personal experience of how this book, how the publishing industry works and where it's come. What are your takeaways? I mean, I know you have a largely young audience that really buys your books and, swears by them, waits for the next editions, especially when they're sequels. What is your sense of the
Thankfully, no one swears at my books.
Thankfully, no one swears at your books, swears by them. So what are you seeing? What are your key observations of the time you've spent as a writer, right from your first book, which I think was a Westland publication, isn't it?
Yes. I was with Westland all the way, through. Among the things that I have seen over the last decade, is the professionalism of the industry keeps getting better and better. And that's a good thing. As our economy grows, look, what was our economic size, a decade ago? We were sub-trillion. We're over 3 trillion now. More and more people are joining, the consuming class where they can spend money, on things that they might choose to like. It could be a streaming platform. It could be, a good phone. It could be a mall. It could be a book. And we have to, in some ways, what an author is competing for is the time because you're not just competing with other books.
Absolutely.
A reader has various choices for where they can spend their time, because 400, 500 rupees is not so much. They spend that much on coffee as well. But why should the reader spend that much money on your book? And to Anand's point, I think one of the things that a publisher like Harper does very well, because of their education portfolio as well, they really capture the reader young, and they offer a full portfolio, and I don't mean a full portfolio of authors, a full portfolio of an entire distribution network. One of the things that is often forgotten about India is it's more a continent than a country. Distributing and marketing at this scale is not an easy job. And it's only China, US to an extent, can compare to the complexity of selling in this wider market. And for that, therefore, what an author needs is a publisher who has that scale and the ability to manage that scale.
What about awards, Sanjoy? The fact that several award-winning writers are there at the JLF is one of the key things that you're putting out to promote the festival. What do awards do for books and the discovery of authors and books?
I think if you look at Gitanjali Shree's Tomb of Sand, for example, the fact that they won, Daisy Rockwell, and she won the International Booker Prize immediately, it propelled it to the top of the sales, whatever. And I think that's what the awards do, especially if it's a credible award. Going back to the whole digital thing, what happened during lockdown, during COVID, for example, of course, we were always online as well. But what did COVID do? It expanded our 500,000 on-the-ground footprint to the 2021 Jaipur Literature Festival online, which received 27 million people viewing one or the other episode. And episodes had 1 million, like the Ravish episodes or the whatever, had 1 million people viewing a episode.
You will continue to be hybrid going forward, given this experience?
Absolutely. We can't walk back anymore because our audience, as you know, our international audiences have always been US first, UK, and then the Commonwealth countries. Today it's US and UK first and second. China, Germany compete for 3 and 4. 5 is Indonesia. 6 is Uzbekistan. Don't even ask me where that one comes from. 9 is Japan, 10 is Saudi Arabia. And from India, whereas it used to be Rajasthan and Jaipur for about 50-55%, followed by Delhi, Gurgaon, Bombay. Today, it's Delhi, Gurgaon, followed by the East and the Northeast is the primary online India audience, followed by the Bangalores and of the world. But what is incredible is the maximum growth is from Cuttack and Bhubaneswar and Calicut and, all of these smaller places that you would never, ever otherwise think of marketing into. And I think for publishers and for writers, that's the unlocking that's happening, not just waiting to happen, but happening. And you're seeing this with bookstores opening in all of these places.
All right, let's take a break here, but we're going to come back and we'll zoom out a bit from the festivals to find out what trends are driving publishing today and how is everyone in this business reacting to that open AI that everyone is talking about, ChatGPT. Let's find out when we are back. Welcome back on Media Dialogues. I'm talking of Litfests and book publishing with Sanjoy Roy of Teamwork Arts and co-founder of the Jaipur Litfest, Ananth Padmanabhan, CEO of HarperCollins, and Amish Tripathi, writer and director of the Nehru Centre in London. Amish, quick question on ChatGPT. A whole, from advertising to the schools and the education system, everybody's wondering what ChatGPT will do. What are the challenges it will throw up? How do you react to it as a writer?
Look, I think many of the things that you read on of ChatGPT it's still early stages, right? So it's not that it gives you deeply insightful stuff, but where I think AI could be useful, and this was some interesting insights I got from Charlie Redmayne, who's the chief of Harper UK, one of the smartest men I've met in publishing, and he said what AI opens up as an opportunity at a first go is actually translations, right? Yeah. So they may not be able to create fresh books, at least, not at this point of time, fortunately for writers like me. But when you have to translate books, translations are expensive. A good translation is going to cost you anywhere between, depending on language, if you do, I have 10 Indian language translations, some 10 international languages. So anywhere between 1.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs, it'll cost you per pop translation. Which entails a minimum print run. You're not so sure about the translation quality. I myself can check only Hindi. I obviously can't check other languages. I can't check Tamil or Malayalam. I just have to assume that has been translated properly. But what AI can do, it can translate your book into another language within a day. And the cost would be as low as 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees. So you could theoretically translate into every language in the world.
Ananth, how are you watching these trends? What are you seeing? Are these things that you can apply quickly? What are the opportunities you see, and what are the challenges also?
Technology is only an enabler, whatever we do. If we didn't have technology, if we didn't have online shopping, the world would be backwards by 5 years, I think, especially, with once in a 100-year event like the pandemic. Technology in publishing, yes. Translation is what Amish spoke about. That is something that is being explored. The purists will argue about the turn of phrase and narrative, but for the bulk of reading, the choice between reading a book and reading a book well translated by an award-winning translator, both will exist and only grow the audience. There is also a lot of AI opportunity in audiobook creation. So you could have Amish read his own book, or you could have Amitabh Bachchan read Amish's book, but you could also have a neutral accent read Amish's 300,000 word book, and therefore you are able to translate it much faster at a much lower cost and also put it out on sale faster than. So we've published a new book, let's say in November. It's going to take us at least 4 months by the time we did a full narration, edited it and put it out on sale. But if you had an AI read it in a neutral accent, a lot more people across the world will be able to listen to it much, much faster. Technology is a very, very big enabler. If you want to go from 60 million readers to 300 million readers.
Right.
And technology enables that, a cheaper ebook. So if we put all of Amish on a daily deal for an ebook at 99, you will see a 400x adoption almost immediately.
Right. Sanjoy, a lot of, we're talking about the commerce of books, we're talking about quick translations, getting the marketing right, getting people to read, the pricing. What about what's in the books? Are you seeing any trends there, any thematic, any themes that you're exploring via the festival this year?
Taking from what Ananth and Amish said 15 years ago, most writers would retain their rights for India distribution. And publishers would say, it's okay, you keep it. Today, there is no publisher across the world who will not insist on the Indian rights to be part and parcel of their package, whether it's Commonwealth rights or whatever. And I think that's the big growth story that you're seeing in India. When it comes to themes, in many ways, we reflect what's out there. 60% of our programming today is nonfiction. Nonfiction is really the space that we're seeing an incredible growth across topics and issues, everything from mathematics to climate crisis to gender, to understanding yourself, to self-help, to mental health, to science, technology, AI, medicine. You've got Sid Mukherjee coming. That's the great big growth story. And I think a lot of publishers also look at nonfiction being far safer, meaning that you're going to be able to sell 5,000 or 7,000 books as opposed to a fiction book where you're not sure whether it will sell or not sell, especially if you're not a Shobha Day or an Amish Tripathi or an Ashwin Sanghvi.
Yeah.
So what do? How do you hedge your bets? And it's really in this other place of geopolitics and so on and so forth that you're seeing publishing moving towards.
Topical. Things that are topical. Books that are about the world around us in all its different aspects, isn't it?
Totally. And it's also the assault of what WhatsApp and news is giving you, right? You're getting an update, but you're not getting a perspective. Television debates don't give you perspectives. They give you the controversy. What I think books are giving you is that arm's length distance and a perspective which can completely change what you're being fed through WhatsApp and through news and so on and so forth. I think there lies, one of the future trends to this particular publishing industry, certainly in India and certainly in Southeast Asia.
I wish you all a great time at JLF and Kolkata after that. And I don't know what else is lined up on the festival calendar, but good luck to all of you. And it was really lovely having you here on this conversation. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching. Catch another show of Media Dialogues next week. Thank you.